Hi, this is Judy Sojourner. How is everyone?
Good.
Good,
We-
good, good.
Good. Thank you.
So I just wanted to give one more second for everybody to get in, but I just started recording because last time I almost forgot. So I wanted to make sure I recorded as soon as possible so I didn't lose this. So welcome to the Board of Election Supervisors meeting for September 3rd, 2024. It's 3:00 p.m. and we're doing this online. We've got on the call, we've got Carletta Lundy, we've got Elizabeth Saunders, we've got Judy Sojourner, and then we've got staff members. Our new town clerk, Regine Watson, has joined us, and she'll be kind of working with you guys more. We have Jessica Maya, who's our deputy town clerk, who's been working on a lot of the stuff. And we've got Ray Jeffries, who's just our marketing specialist who has been working on with you before on the election process. I'm Michelle Bailey Hedgepeth. And today we've got a lot of things for you to see. I know that Regine sent some stuff out to you on Friday or last week, Thursday, I think, of last week, not Friday. But what I wanted to kind of do is to make sure that there's Sue Ellen. Great. Hi, Sue Ellen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Our attorney, Sue Ellen Ferguson, is also on the call. But I wanted to make sure that everyone had the agenda and everything that we're working through today. Can someone put it up? Do you have it up, Regime, to show on the screen? That way we can go through that. Okay, perfect. And you can share. But over the next couple of weeks, we'll probably need another meeting because some of the items on here are time sensitive, and the council has asked to start to be able to make some approvals of, let's say, the candidate handbook and some of the policies. I know that this will still be probably working through the fall, but to get an update status report in October and to see some recommendations from the board this fall. So in October and maybe in November's meeting. So I just wanted to kind of give that expectation to kind of so that we can set that up. Are you sharing or do I need to allow you to share? There's Pat. Great. Thank you. Okay, that's the process document.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you guys see it?
Yep, we see
Okay,
it.
perfect.
So on the first item is the call to order, which I kind of walked through with everybody on. I saw that our chair just joined us, Ms. Williams. Hello, Ms. Williams. How are you?
Good afternoon, everyone.
We're just going through the agenda. The second item is review of internal documents or internal procedures and drafts. We have provided a copy of the candidate handbook for everyone as part of the information. Did everybody have a chance to kind of get to look at this or get to look at what the concept is? You've seen it in an earlier draft, but does anybody have any questions or anything about that?
Yes. Hi, this is Carletta. Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard, Ms. Watson. Are you talking about, excuse me, are we going to go over the BOES process document? And are you talking about the election guide?
The candidate handbook? Yeah, that's the candidate handbook, which I think is also, I thought it was called candidate handbook, not election guide, but I think we're talking about the same thing. It's a larger document that has several pages about what the candidates need to have, things that for just kind of
it's called
guidelines.
the election guide.
Election guide.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't.
Yeah, we got,
okay.
No problem. Yeah, I did have some comments whenever we're ready to go over that.
Let's start with that one. And does everybody want to see it on the screen, or is that easier?
Well, Ms. Hedgepack, can we start with the process document? Because I had some comments about that initial document, the process document, the one sheet page back and front.
Okay. But I think we should go through we can go through that first. That's fine. I actually drafted it. Sure, no problem.
Okay. Okay, so with the BOES process document, it says review and approve of candidate applications and materials, the policy statement. Because there have been delays I would like us not to single out any party. So my recommendation would, in that second sentence, to strike historically, comma, candidates' applications were held for BUES meetings leading to delays. So if we could strike that and go right to, after the word ballot period, to go right to this policy codifies the
That's fine.
responsibilities of the, okay, so I want to, okay, good. And then also the last statement, BOES, to streamline the review process and ensure transparency and efficiency, for an open and fair election. I would like to insert that language.
I'm sorry, where was that again?
The very last line of the first policy statement. So it says this policy codifies responsibilities of the town clerk, BOE, and the chair of the BOES to streamline the review of the process for a fair and transparent election. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes. And also,
Could
Elizabeth,
I interject one thing? We're following you so far. It would really help though, as a process matter, if Regine could redline
Right.
she's got the document up right now, right?
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
if you redline
I'm
as
taking
we do
notes.
it.
Yeah, I'm
I
doing
was
it.
like, yeah,
Taking
please,
notes?
baby.
Yes, I'm doing it. I'm doing it as we speak.
Okay, so at some point, everyone's gonna need to see what's happening.
Yeah, what you're doing, right, yeah. I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah,
I'll
so
send it.
we'll need a red line, either if you can do it now, or you can do it, fill in, and I'm gonna, I guess, I don't know that I have this one.
it was sent with the, it was sent with the, it was sent with the stuff that was sent by Regime earlier earlier this week. I think it was sent Thursday, Regime.
Yes, Thursday. In your email with the invitation.
Okay,
so just to, oh, go ahead, Sue Ellen.
I'm gonna pull that up now too, and just make my own changes in
Okay.
there, but it would really be helpful to get that at some point. Too.
Well, I will send it out.
All right, so just to reiterate, my recommendation is to strike that sentence that says historically and just go straight to this policy. I think Ms. Hedgepack got that. And under process : receipt of candidate package, upon receipt of a complete candidate package, the town clerk will immediately forward the financial disclosure forms to the Town Ethics Commission for review. I would like to insert some language there that speaks to the fact that the completed candidate packages will be date stamped as they're received by the town clerk, as well as date stamped and when they're received by the Town Ethics Commissions for review, so we can have consistency and so we can have some documentation when these forms were received by both entities. So we can ensure compliancy to our dates.
I think I wouldn't mind if the fact that as far as when the town gets it, we can always send it in an email that stamps when it's sent, so they can be sent electronically, and that would serve as a date stamp. I don't want to get caught up on semantics too much on what a date stamp means. But I don't have a problem with that being part of the process. It's just more the fact that I'm not sure when, like, if we send it in the email, if we send an email to the person that would be sent electronically to the board, so that would suffice as the date stamp. Then I'm okay with that. I guess that's my procedural issue. I don't mind if once we get things that we have a date stamp at the front desk, that someone can date stamp it and say, we receive your application. And we can put that visibly on the front page. That's not a big deal. It's just more of the fact that, like, will a date stamp of the email, then the date that it's sent to the ethics committee suffice?
Okay, so
Right.
are we going to say, upon receipt of a complete candidate package, the town clerk will date stamp the package and immediately forward the financial disclosure forms by email to the Town
Correct.
Ethics Commission for review?
That's fine.
That's
And
what I
then
was
just
saying.
the word immediately, can it just be what you're gonna do, date stamp it and forward it? Does that word immediately
Correct.
have to be there?
It doesn't.
It should
I think that we're,
it should be as soon as practicable, because it really needs to move.
Right.
Until the Ethics Commission okays that financial disclosure form, a person cannot be a qualified candidate.
Right. I just don't want to get caught up in arguing about what immediately meant. Like, I think it has to move, and we know that, and it will. But just the word immediately, if someone else is done quicker, I don't know. That word just
How about
makes me feel
as soon as
people-
practicable?
That's
How about
fine.
as soon as?
I think
Okay.
that is better
All right.
than immediately.
All right.
Right. And my rationale for even bringing that up is because we do have a due date. I think it's August 22nd, looking at this document, 2025 by 5. And I have another issue with that. But moving on, the town, number 2, the town clerk would notify the BOES members by email that an application or multiple applications have been received. By whom with date of receipt. Okay, I
How
can just
about-
read that out.
How about by email when applications are received?
Thank you. That's good. Yep.
Can we say that online again one more time, please? The town clerk will notify.
The town clerk will notify the BOES members by email when applications have been received.
Okay.
And how about when applications are received? You don't have to make it passive.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Number 4, and I don't believe that the chair would have a problem with this part. So it says the chair of the BOES and the town clerk will thoroughly review the candidates' documents to ensure all materials are complete. The chair and the town clerk will use, I understand why we're doing this because I read this. I don't necessarily believe that you would have to put it here. But I don't, because this is the Board of Elections and Supervisors, I think that any board member along with the chair should be allowed to participate in that process. So even though we don't have to spell it out, if I as a board member would like to be a part of that process of review, then I think that that should be okay. And I don't know that the chair would have a problem with that.
I think that's the reason, that's why it was written from the standpoint that we don't have to have a formal meeting every time we meet, because the issue that I saw last time was that Rich was stymied because he was trying to set up dates for multiple meetings, and I think it was difficult for him to do that. So I think the issue that I would say is that what we need to probably look at is the ability for any member can attend, that's fine, but at least being able to meet with the chair or their designee to review that's something
Okay.
so that we can keep it streamlined. And we can,
Okay,
and any
so
other member could be there.
Correct. So my ask would be just to make sure that we all get the date when that's going to take place, and so that if we want to, we can attend.
That's the reason why the number 2 says notification of the board, so that the board will be notified once we have it, and then that same email will have when we're going to meet.
Okay, so the chair of, go ahead, who's talking?
It's Sue Ellen. Can we back up? So we need to call everything the same thing so it's clear. The town clerk will notify, all right, under 3, town clerk will set a date with the chair to meet, and initially, this is the initial review, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, it's the initially review the candidate materials while notifying all BOS members of the scheduled meeting. So that's to let them come if they want to, if they can make it. Then 4, initial document review, that's what you just scheduled up above. And then they will thoroughly review the candidates' documents to ensure all materials are complete. I would remove the chair and town clerk will use the guidelines outlined in the charter. There's not a question about that. That's what you got to do. I mean, it's the charter. So it's a redundant thing, and it calls out one thing of guidelines. I don't know that you actually have any guidelines in the charter anyway.
Nope.
So
We
I
don't.
would just get rid of that line because they have to do that anyway.
Right. Thank you. So I just want to make sure number 4 that it's understood that if a board member can attend along with the chair to do this review of these documents. That's all.
Yeah, you could put the chair and the town clerk and any available board member.
Good. Thank you. because this is gonna be codified, so that's why I want to make sure the language is good.
Yeah, I think the
concise.
idea was you do need to move quickly. You need to move
Correct.
to process these things, and it doesn't have to wait.
Right.
As soon as it comes in, the process can start for any applicant.
Correct.
So,
So I
we-
like what you said about
but
available.
But you can't stop the show if one board member says, I can't
Right.
be there. And I guess that's the
Right.
No,
issue
she
that
said if
any board-
available.
Oh, no, I said,
And any
I'm
available.
saying, any available. That's
Yeah.
what I just want to make
Right.
sure of, available. The word
Yeah,
available
she
is
said
there.
that. All right, and on the back, number 7, ongoing communication and tracking. All of the confirm, ask, okay. So it says throughout the election process, I just wanted to insert there, and this doesn't have to be a must. I just want to know what legal thinks about this. Throughout the candidate application and election process. I just want to insert those 2 words.
where's
Because it's
that?
not only the election. Okay,
Number
perfect.
7.
Thank you. Number
Maybe
7,
where's
the
that?
first bullet. Throughout the candidate application and election process, comma, whatever else follows. That's perfect.
So what's the
And then it's-
differentiation, Ms. Lundy, what's the differentiation regarding the application and the election process? Because isn't the election process part of the
because I
application
just wanted
process?
to be, I don't want anything to be assumed. I want to be clearly understood and stated that we're not only talking about the election process, those things that we're doing, but we're also talking about the candidate application also, because that's a part of all of this, a part of the
Okay.
communication and the tracking.
No, but all right. So, but I'm asking the same. But this is the review and approval of candidate applications and materials. This is the only thing this applies to.
Yeah, I think if you separate them, it looks like if I was reading it, I would think it was 2 different things
Two
going
different
on.
things, right?
From the legal
Okay, so separate
perspective,
it.
from the legal perspective, I agree. I think it's redundant. The election process covers start to finish.
Right. It actually, the
Okay,
the
okay, that's
election process
fine.
is more inclusive than the application process.
Okay, that's fine.
Can
Okay,
we go
that's
back
fine.
up? Can we go back
Yeah.
up? Part of the approval process is also referring this to the Ethics Commission for review. And they have to move quickly also.
Right.
So the approval process, it doesn't mention anywhere in here that after the initial document review, approval process, if there is something that doesn't seem to be complete, and that's really all that the election supervisors can determine when it comes to the ethics forms, is whether all the blanks are filled in. We don't want to really ask them to do much more than that. It should be the Ethics Commission that takes that up. And so there should be something referencing that the Ethics Commission has also cleared the financial disclosure form.
So if the
I agree.
so in number 6, Sue Ellen, should there be something then that just a separate bullet to say that if because under the first one says if the application is found to be incomplete, the town clerk, that promptly shows that maybe if the application is found to be incomplete by the ethics board or something, would that make sense? Then the clerk would probably or in any way. I mean, I'm just like, that's where we thought of where it goes. So where does it go? It would be the handling.
I think we're going to
the
have to put it
applications?
up I think we can put it up into approval process. Because the process for approval is that it has to be cleared by the BOES and also the Ethics Commission.
So would that be the fact that in number 5 that we would say upon approval by the Ethics Commission, maybe an email approval, because then we get a time and date stamp of that information from the ethics person?
How about upon review by the Ethics Commission and the BOES chair, if the candidate's application is complete, the chair of the BOS will sign off. Okay.
Right.
And then you can go down to if it's incomplete. That means that either the Ethics Commission or the chair has decided it's not complete for one reason or another. Okay,
So the first one and 6 covers it because it covers any incomplete, whether it's an ethics form or anything. That's the first
yeah,
one.
and
So it should be
I'm doing a red line of all this right now.
Okay.
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 So I'm gonna, yeah.
And,
So we can just it'll be done, or I can send it over to everybody and make sure it says what it's supposed to.
Okay.
Okay.
and back to number 7, do we need to add, and back to Ms. Hedgepack's comment, the second sentence, spreadsheet will be maintained detailing the date received, comma, date forwarded to the ethics committee, comma, and level of completeness, and a date forwarded to the ethics. Do we need to add that?
That's
It's
fine.
whatever information you find useful to be in that spreadsheet, frankly.
Well,
We
I
can
think
put-
that's important. Yeah, date forwarded to the ethics committee or commission, whoever, whatever they're called.
I would think the basic things that you would want in your spreadsheet would be when it was received, when it was approved by ethics, when it was approved by the BOES. Those are the things you really want to know, and notification to the candidate. Those are what you'd want on there.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at the current language. It says details the date received. It doesn't even talk about approval except for the back end. So that's good too. But since we got date received, do we want to have the date forwarded to the ethics committee as well? The approval thing is right there
Well, I
for
mean,
the candidates.
I
Though.
think Miss Lundy, the issue that you could probably think is that, I mean, in the practical sense, what we'll do is we'll send it pretty much the same day to, if it's email forward, we'll forward that form. It should be the same day, but even if it's a different day, we can put both dates. So the date received, the date forward, the date
Approved.
submitted to the ethics, the date
Right.
received, the date forwarded, the date submitted to ethics, date submitted to chair or to
And
BOS. You can put both of them
and
there if
what
you want to have all those dates.
right, and what the Sue Ellen said about the approvals of these entities as well, those dates.
Yeah, so we have review date, and then we can put review date and approval dates. It already says approval date for each candidate's already there.
Oh,
So
so
we
that's
don't-
understood, you're trying to
No,
say?
but
But it's
it
not-
But we
doesn't
can put
say,
not
instead of,
clear.
I
it
think you
doesn't
could
say who. It's when you
Correct.
use a spreadsheet to keep track of things, you should have a separate
Right.
one for ethics and a separate
No,
one for
so we'll
BOES.
but since we didn't have it before for the we can put both. So one for BOES, one for ethics. Approval for each one of
Okay.
those. Could be
Date of
sub-broken
cool.
down.
notice.
Yep.
All right, that's
And
all I have.
and a copy can be attached. So what we'll do is, how about this? In the next version, we will attach a copy of the spreadsheet. That way everybody can see the spreadsheet. And if there's any issues with that spreadsheet, you can let us know.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have right now for that. For that document, that's all I have.
Okay.
Can we go back up to the very beginning? I think there was a request at the end of the policy statement and the chair of the BOS to streamline the review process and ensure transparency and efficiency. And I think there were words added in there to ensure a fair election or something along those lines. That was a
Correct,
suggestion.
to ensure, yeah, a recommendation to ensure a fair, open and fair election.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And also, Selena, you have take out the historically.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
line.
strike
Yeah,
that.
got that. Got that.
Does
I think I
anybody else
got-
have anything on this statement or process before we move on?
No, I don't have anything else.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more little thing. Because we're talking about the ethics, I'm only doing this because of what legal was saying. The last statement, this policy ensures that all candidates, I think Sue was normal to say, all candidate applications are reviewed efficiently with clear communication between the town clerk, BOES, and should we include the ethics committee here as well? So they're part of the process.
Yeah, it is.
So let's include them too.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Michelle, do you want to go back to the candidate election guide?
I'll let you guys tell me what you want to do next.
Yeah, yep. Yes, that was the first thing. Yeah, we just didn't have this single document on there, but that was the first thing on the agenda. We just forgot to put this on there. This that Ms. Hedgepack draft made it. All right, yeah, the election guide. I can let somebody else go first because I do have some comments.
Opening up.
If anybody has any.
I do.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Okay.
I have multiple comments on
Mhm.
the date of everything.
Okay.
And I got this. Yeah, I'm sorry not to have sent it out to everybody before the meeting. But I think I can share. Let's see. Yeah.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Am I allowed to share?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's allowed to share.
Okay, I'm trying to. Well, I'm not, normally it would come up on my, anything that's on my screen that's open would come up, but I'm seeing no files.
I think in there you have to see it'll say screen. So when you hit share, it'll have screen and it'll have windows. So you'll see something that looks like when you hit the share button, it should come up with all that.
Yeah, it
think
says
it-
share content. It just says screen and, oh, there's windows. Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Mhm.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. No worries.
Okay, can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. These are my comments on this.
Okay.
In part because what you're talking about is dates, not deadlines, because not all of them are deadlines. We put important election dates. I have a question about citing the charter section. For most people, for one thing, you're not saying what it is that you're citing to, but other than a section number, but do you think that's useful for people, or is it really what they're looking for here is a summary?
Sue Ellen, I think this was a form that was done 2 elections ago in 2021 by one of the previous clerks, and we found it and we used the
Okay.
same information.
I would then
So
get
we can
rid of.
remove whatever you don't think we need.
Yeah.
So this was just
I
more.
think it's just, I think that's good for internal checking, you know, and I've looked down these are the right sections, but,
Okay.
I think we should get rid of them.
Okay, but I'm just saying the whole
Okay,
format of this was developed by the word deadlines, the word deadlines
Yeah.
versus dates was all developed by this other clerk. And what we were trying to do was last time we didn't have a master sheet like this. So we were wanting to make sure we
Yeah.
had a master sheet.
And because, I would get rid of deadlines, a number of them, the word deadline, but to register vote with the county, it should be September 6th. The way I counted out. And you already give information about how to register at the bottom of the form.
Right. Again,
So,
this was a form that was developed, I
Yeah.
think where it was
I'm not-
redundant.
I'm
I
not-
think they
I'm
were
just-
told to make it redundant.
yeah, this
So
is
we
the one
can,
I've been
we can
asked.
do it.
Yeah, this is the one I've been asked to look at. So these are my suggestions.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
think that's okay, but I think the issue was that I think then when they made it, they asked the person to kind of put the information twice on there. And I think that's the reason why. But we can remove it. So this is all for you guys to change. So go ahead.
Yeah. To be a qualified write-in candidate, then I would go on a little bit more about that there. And absentee ballot applications, they have to be received by September. Just based on experience, having 5 o'clock as a deadline for anything causes a great deal of aggravation for the clerk because you're supposed to be closing right then. So it's really not fair to have people walking in at 4:49 for things. So my suggestion is that you just always make it 4 o'clock. There is no write-in candidate that's a non-qualified write-in candidate. There's only one deadline for a qualified write-in candidate, and that's September 29, which is up above. So we should get rid of that line. And then the rest of the changes that I'm suggesting are just, more clarification ones. But that's what I would suggest. So if anybody wants to start up at the top again, that's what I would suggest.
Just the word candidate is misspelled. I think it's if you keep going down.
Oh, okay.
On both versions, on the version we received as well, right there, deadline to be.
Oh,
Yeah, there, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is Judy Sojourner. Can I just ask a question? On the date for the initial filing for the candidates, which is August 25, can that date be moved back so that we have a little bit more lead time to sometime mid-August? Or is there a stipulation that it has to be within a certain period of time? And I'm not at home, so I don't have the documents in front of me that you sent, Michelle. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Yeah,
okay.
It's set by the charter.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the absentee ballot application or the deadline for filing the candidate form?
I think it
So
was the
filing-
candidate form, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not 45 days. Is that what my understanding of before the election? And that's the reason why, I mean, we
Yeah,
can also
it's right.
accept them
It's in-
earlier.
It is in 307, but we would have to have a charter change to do that.
Oh, okay.
It says, any person having the qualifications provided may become a candidate by filing with the town clerk at least 45 days prior to the election, their certificate, and any required ethics forms. Okay. So we would have to change that time frame. And this is they can do it before then. It's just, it has to be at least that far back.
Okay. Thank you, Sue Ellen. Thank you.
So does I think Miss Lundy said she might have some comments, but I didn't know if it
Yeah.
was in the first pages or not.
Oh yeah, the first. So that's a good idea to go page by page. So the first page, I agree with all of your recommendations, and I definitely agree with the deadline. The time should be changed because I want to address that on the next page. So I definitely agree with that statement. So I don't have any more page 1 of this document.
So page 2, so deadline time says on page 2.
Correct. So at the bottom, the publication, at the top, it said the publication available here. What publication is that, Ms. Hedgepack? I'm sorry.
I don't know what we're looking at. I'm sorry. I was looking at it from there and it just
On page-
it disappeared.
On
I'm
page
sorry.
2,
I
it says,
know. I'm reopening it. I'm opening it on my own
Oh.
computer. It just
Yeah,
disappeared from the.
I've taken down the comments I made, so you
Okay,
should
I was
open
like,
up that document.
okay, so I have to just go to the regular document. 2 seconds. I'm in it.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I was looking at it and then the page disappeared. So hold on 1 second. I have to go to mine. You can read it, Miss
I'll take it.
Miss Lundy, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll
Take
look
your
as we're
time.
doing. No, it's okay.
It
Go
says-
ahead.
Oh, it says official in a municipality period on the second page. I don't know. It says at the bottom of that first page, introduction, running for office, date August 2000. Then it goes right to this other, at the top of the next page, official in a municipality. The publication is available here. Is something missing?
Okay, let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna look at it. I miss.
Maybe I have my pages
I started
wrong.
sharing it again, Michelle.
I got it open. So I'm like, are we talking about page 2? Oh, that's the very introduction for running for office. That should be on the top of the second page. And then it says general information and qualifications. Is that what you're saying, Miss Lundy?
No,
So
it doesn't say that.
No, the top of page 2.
Sorry, I'm reading page. Okay, so I'm looking at page 3. I'm sorry, let me go. I opened up the document, so now I got to go back to your screen to see what you're looking at.
It's on the sharing it.
Okay, so I don't know, Regine, what is that? I don't know because it's not in the document I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at official municipality publication available here. Do you know what that is?
This was something that was here that we clicked. Let me open it and see.
No, when I open the document, the Word document is not there. That's why I'm looking at the Word document.
But is that a complete sentence? What is, I mean, is it a
You're supposed to be able
to
to
be
click it. It says it's supposed to be a publication that's available once we hover on it, it's supposed to open up into another document.
But when I'm looking at
I
the
don't
Word
know what
document, let
document.
me share I'm looking at the Word document that I have in the file that's dated TOB 8/21/2024. I'm like wondering if I should just share that document because I think the PDF, put things in there. So do you have the Word document that you use? Because I think that's probably cleaner than the PDF.
You want
because
me to, I can show it to you if you want me to share again. I have the Word document.
Yeah, because
open.
I'm looking at the Word document, it's not showing in
Okay.
there. So
I'll do that.
So Miss
Give me a
Lundy,
sec.
that's not
excuse
there.
me,
So
point of, wait, hold on one second, point of order. It's also not just the document, but the language is something missing. It just says at the top of the page, official in a municipality, period. It's not a complete sentence. The publication is available here.
I agree with you. It's not in the actual document, in the Word document. So I think there's a typo that got put into the PDF. And that's what I'm saying. That's not appearing in the Word document. So I think it's something that got pulled over from the PDF that probably doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
You're correct. It does. You're
I
right.
apologize.
We need to delete it.
Maybe the format, when I made it into a PDF, it changed the format of the Word.
Yeah, that's
probably what happened.
That's what I'm trying to say, Miss Lundy. You're not incorrect. That shouldn't be there. So it's because it's not
Right.
in the actual document itself. That's why I'm trying to say it's not I agree with you. That's not in my document. So that's why I'm saying.
So we're going to this
it's not
page,
there.
introduction, running for office. Is that where we want to be?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be the
Yes.
second page.
All right, so we can move on?
Yes, so it's because it's not,
okay.
it doesn't appear in the Word document. Yeah.
Okay, so you all are correct that when the document comes out. Okay, so at the
Yes.
bottom of that page, at the bottom of the page says, it's emboldened at the bottom, a note about the deadline. And this gets back to the other page with the dates. Petitions and other required forms turned in or on the last day may not be reviewed in time for you to be notified of and correct any deficiencies. For this reason, we encourage you to submit your forms early. Do we really need that if we change the time to 4? Because my comment here is this is why the time at 5 o'clock, then we make the time earlier to allow time for review of petitions and other required documents. So do we really need this statement here now that we're changing the time to 4 p.m.?
I think you still do, because I don't think you still have enough time to be able for the board to review it to make sure it's complete. I mean, like, here's the other part about it is that statement is still about the fact that even when you turn it in, right, and we do an initial completeness check at 4 o'clock on the 22nd, which is the day that it's due, the board will still need to look at it, will still need to go through it. And what if you're missing something very simple, like you just left some stuff blank, right? A signature, and you left it blank, but let's say you left a lot of things blank on it, and we find them, we can disqualify you. So that's why that statement. This is a candidate handbook. This is not a policy. This is more of the saying, I mean, and Sue Ellen, let me know if that's wrong, is that that's the reason why this is a handbook, it's not the policy statement.
Okay,
All
what
right.
happens? What happens is you have it at 4 o'clock so that if there's something obviously not there, if somebody comes in and there's no financial disclosure form with it, or they don't have, it's clear that from the top of face of it that something hasn't been filled in that needs to be filled in, they can tell somebody that right then, and they can't be a qualified candidate unless they provide all the information. However, you can still amend forms so long as you get your forms in on time. If it's just a failure of filling in a couple pieces of information, which may not be determined till later, such as one I've seen recently where somebody submitted a form and it's a small town, everybody knows the person is employed, but they forgot to fill out the section about employment.
Right.
So the Ethics Commission popped it back over and said, please provide this information and put that in. They still were okay in the filing. They still made the filing on time, but they couldn't qualify the candidate until they got all the information. So I think we may have to look at this wording a little bit to say that, you know, additional information may be required.
And I guess that, so Ellen, is that we use, this is from College Park's
Mhm.
collection stuff that you suggested that we look at. And that they do have this reminder in there for people as a candidate, as part of this candidate handbook.
You know, I suggest you look there. It's a good handbook. It doesn't, but I think you know, I don't sign off on their handbook.
No, I know.
didn't
I'm just
sign up
saying
on
that
the
the
handbook.
reason why this
So-
is where we got it from. I think that
Yeah.
that we got that from their handbook because of the fact that it just says a best practice, something that you might want to, you know, warn people about. Is that just trying to get
That's a
this in
good
as
thing
early
to
as
warn
possible.
people about is please get it to us. Don't wait till the last day. You know, it causes a problem. Wait till the last day.
Yep.
People come in, you know, the real problem ones are when people come in over in College Park. The problem they had all the time was they have to have a certain number of people sign to support the petition. And people would come in and not have the required number of registered voters.
Yeah.
So that's a
So-
problem they dealt with.
So point of information too. So do we want to say at that same area where we are, a note about the dates instead of note about the deadlines? Given Sue Ellen's point earlier.
But I think the deadline is really, you know, that the applications must be filed by a certain date and time.
So just
and
want to add an
that's good.
S. Or just,
Okay.
okay, note about the application deadline then, I guess.
So
Um,
changing C to application deadline versus it being candidate applications. I think this is what you're saying, right? Add the word
No,
application.
I'm talking about the bold statement down there. A note about the deadline. I guess people know that's referring to number C. So, yeah, but
Yeah, they do. And I might even get rid of,
okay.
you know, just say a note, please note something, you know, petitions and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. That this is a problem if you come in on the last day. That's mainly what they're trying to get to. And so,
Okay. All right. All righty. That's all I have on that page. Anybody else got anything on that page? Page 2? Hearing none. The backside of that page 3, I guess, because we need to put page numbers on this document too, that's just as a note once it's finalized or what have you. So at the top of what we're calling page 3, it says the second sentence, the BOSOE conducts the election, tallies the votes, and certifies the results, period. The BOSOE reviews, validates, and certifies these forms. What I would like to include here as a link for not only the BOSOE, but more importantly for candidates, is that wonderful checklist that we had. I think we should include that as a hyperlink as a link. What do you think, Ms. Hedgepack?
That's fine. I mean,
When we were
but
doing-
so I'm sorry, I'm actually adding the page numbers as we're speaking to the bottom. So I'm trying to understand. So you're saying the
That
making
checklist when we-
hyperlinks, like the checklist?
No, the check, yes, a checklist that the former town at clerk had. With the process of what we go through when we're doing, it's a checklist that we had. I can't remember the name of that checklist, but we had a checklist.
I'm not clear where we are, so I'm not showing exactly,
Oh, page 3, the first sentence the first sentence on page 3, where it says the BOSOE conducts the election, tallies the votes, and certifies the result. So we had a checklist that spoke to that
I'm
process.
I'm not seeing that anywhere on, because there's,
Oh,
well,
oh
I'm
God,
just,
that's not good.
well, no, it's just,
Yeah, I'm not
there
seeing
are
that
no-
either. All I see is that, like, so that's my understanding too. Is like when I go to the next page, I get rules and regulations. I don't see that either.
Right.
So I'm gonna have
Wow.
to go back to the, so.
I don't know with the PDF if it switched it out a little bit.
Did you switch do you
Wow.
have the older version, not the new version? Is that what you have? Because I'm
well,
like,
we have election rules and regulations. It says it right
right.
there.
That's what I have,
it's-
election rules and regulations.
And that's
I'm
what
looking-
comes up next. Please check,
Well, I have the copy that was copied and given to me when I picked it
Yeah,
up
I
from
know,
the town.
I know.
today.
I didn't, I was like, I know that I was like, I'm trying to okay, hold on one second. So I'm looking at, so when I'm reading my page 3, which is election rules and regulations, I have the BOSC
This-
conducts elections, tallies votes, and certifies the BOSC validates these forms. Are you saying,
here we go. Here it is.
you want to add the candidate's application that's currently says the candidate's application ethics forms, the financial disclosure forms, the campaign financer forms, and the appointment of the town treasurer form. You also
Yeah.
want the checklist.
No,
You just want,
No,
wanna
there's a
add the-
hold on, Miss Hedgepack. There's a sentence prior to those bullets. The
under
sentence
section
on my what I
302. Under
no,
302 of
okay.
this.
Can you,
So
can
on the
you see
document
my?
that I have, on the
yeah.
document that I have, prior to those 4 bullets you just read off, it says the BOSOE conducts the election,
Right.
tallies the votes.
I read that.
Okay. So
I read that.
oh,
first.
okay.
I read that first.
So I
yeah.
want to include that checklist that the former town clerk had that explains that process as a link.
I mean, I got to go back through that again. I'm trying to find this wonderful checklist, but sure, if it's a wonderful
send it.
checklist, I have it in here.
Yeah,
I
it
can
was.
look
We
up.
used it. Okay. Okay. So moving on. The goals of the BOSOE are. Okay, that's fine. We don't have to go where. So I'm finished with that page. Unless anybody else has anything.
I may eventually have suggestions from the legal end of it. But,
Okay.
because I didn't get through all of this before the meeting today.
Okay. So the next page, it has a heading, and so I'm just gonna read the heading. It says campaign finance reporting for candidates. Everybody have that?
Yes, it's,
And
I'll
then it's
pull it up.
there.
Yep.
Okay.
It should be coming up here.
So it
There
says-
you go. There you go.
It says rules pertaining to campaign finance reports are found in chapter 44 of the town code. So number 1, it says candidates are required to file campaign reports on the schedule below. I think maybe could say in accordance with the prescribed due date below or by the due dates below. I think on the schedule below is not grammatically correct.
How about in compliance with?
That's fine. Perfect. Yep. In compliance with, yep. And then bullet number 2, campaign finance forms, where it says campaign finance reports must be submitted to the town clerk's office at the address during regular business hours. I would like to put in parentheses what those business hours are, because we cannot assume that everyone knows what they are. So I think that would be helpful to put the prescribed business hours in there from 9 to 5 or whatever the office hours are.
Okay.
If that's okay. Is that okay?
Makes sense to me. Does anybody else have any issues?
Yeah, because you may have some new people that want to run for office.
What are the hours? It's 9 to 5?
Yeah, or do we do 9 to 4?
Well, the finance.
This says regular business hours.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
9 to
this is-
5.
Yeah, that should be 9 a.m. to, we don't care so much about the campaign finance reports,
Correct.
in that. And 5 p.m. All right.
So 9 to 5. Any person sponsoring, oh, okay, that's all I have for that page. Okay. So, I just wanted to ask a question. So how are we enforcing, or if we are, is that our role? How are we, as a board, going to enforce these things that the candidate is responsible for doing? How is it being enforced?
The way it's generally enforced is if the person has not filed their appropriate reports, they
Okay.
cannot get sworn in. And I think there is wording to that effect in the ordinance. I'd have to pull it up.
Okay. Okay. So, and that's what I was thinking. So having said that, so when these reports come in to the town and they are date stamped and what have you, with all of this stuff that the candidates have to do, so we would get a copy of that and we'll be coming in to look at it, or how is that going? How do you envision that working, Ms. Hedgepat?
I think the thing about it is that in the past, haven't we just kept those in the file? I mean, we have not had the board to necessarily review them. I'm not sure. Attorney, Ferguson, do you think that the board has to review these?
Yep, they do.
So do we need to do them at each, so do they need to be at each interval? I don't know how Rich did it last time. Did you guys review them at each interval?
No. We just we got an email saying they were received and all of this kind of stuff. But according to all of these things that they're responsible for doing, and given what Ms. Sue Ellen has said, we have to review these things and make sure they're in compliance, because like you said, that's how we're going to enforce it, to make sure these required documents are received on time and that the information is there.
If someone puts in 000, we just submit the zeros. Is that the best way to do it?
If that's
If
the
they're not-
case, yeah.
If that's the case. And can that be done so are you saying can that be done as just an email, or does that need to be in a formal meeting? I guess that's what I'm asking you.
Okay, well, you're required to file campaign finance reports only if you're receiving, if you have to have a treasurer and you're receiving funds. Okay. And so that's the threshold. If you're not receiving funds from anyone, then you don't have to appoint a treasurer. If you're using your own money.
You're on your own money, right? So
Mhm.
then, because my understanding is that, like, I don't know how many people submitted last time and what they've submitted, but we can definitely, if they do have a treasurer and they are doing it, then you would get them. If someone does not have it, then you wouldn't get them because they're not due. Does that make sense? I just want to make sure I'm understanding the expectation.
Yeah. If you can see that it's clear that donations are being requested, if people are requesting donations, they need to have a treasurer.
So does there have to be a formal meeting or not?
I think if there is if someone has a treasurer and they're making the report, then we would have to can we have the board review them? I have the chair review them and then invite any board member the same way? And should we
I
have a
think
separate
that-
internal policy on it?
When you're performing a function that's part of what you're required to do in the code, it's not a meeting that's under the Open Meetings Act. It's more of an administrative meeting
Right,
because you're taking care of the details of the work you're supposed to do.
right.
And so you can have a gathering or a review, however you think. It could be, the reports can be sent around by email,
Okay,
let
So
me
then
know,
we should-
clerk- yeah.
so then we could just do an internal process memo, which that would not require a change to this, because this is about for the candidates externally, but internally, we need to put a process together for the board so that you can see for campaign finance that you have, so we need a campaign finance process, review process. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. We'll send you another one. We'll send you we'll send you a draft, and then that way you guys can look at it and make any changes to it. Does that make sense, Ms. Lundy?
Yeah, I mean, if everybody else is in agreement, yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so we'll just do this. It'll be similar to the way that this one for the applications was done, and then you can take a
Yep.
look at it and say that works. Okay, we can put that together.
Does anybody have anything else on the other pages before we go to? I have one little comment on another page. And I think the document got mixed up again.
Yeah, it looks
in
like
the
when it
town
went
Can
from
we
a
go-
PDF to a Word. I
Yeah, can we go a little
apologize.
bit-
Yeah, I apologize.
Can we go a
That's
little bit
okay,
further?
girl, that's okay.
Can we go a little further into this document?
Sure.
Yep.
As Michelle noted, this is taken from the parts of it are taken from the College Park manual.
Right.
And I had recommended that one because it's very, it's kind of, they spent a lot of time on it. It's pretty extensive. And they had a lot of experiences in having these elections where they put the results of those experiences or the questions that came up in their manual. This is an example of it right there. Do they have to report the cost of a meet and greet as a donation or not? Okay. And what kind of food and refreshments can they provide? And so they came up with a very extensive guideline about that. You may not want to put all this.
That's what I was
And-
thinking too. That was more of what we wanted to discuss, is whether or not we needed all of the stuff that they had, because this is why this is still a draft, because they've got a lot of things in here that we do not
Yeah.
necessarily do. And that's why we kind of wanted you guys to focus in and to say, does this even apply to Bladensburg?
And that's what I wanted to know, like, what is the
Right.
history of this? Because I've
No.
lived in Bladensburg for years and I don't ever remember being asked to attend a fundraising dinner for,
Right.
for a Bladensburg election.
Right. And I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
can-
the question, that if
Yeah.
you guys want, because I don't think we need, like, if you ask, and I know that we don't have page numbers, but like going from pages after page like 15 or 16, after you do the critical dates for filing, some of the things, do you want to do a lot of the stuff that's on the campaign signs? Do you want to do the political dinners? Like, what do you guys think you need in here? Because I know we have provided signage information, and Mr. Reinhardt has provided that to candidates, but when you're looking at the meet and greet, do you need that? And do you need something on giveaways? I don't
And I'm
know.
gonna have to
Yeah.
look at it again because mine just went into what could never be given away. Like all of a sudden it just went into items that can never be given away: calculators, flashlights,
Right.
frisbees, hats, postage stamps, toys, t-shirts. And I had
Right.
no idea why that would be something that couldn't be given away. Then it said to contact the BOES for guidance. And I thought, well, as a BOES member, if someone asked me, can I give this magnet away? Like, we just have to have further conversation about what and why? Like, what was the rationale for why you can give away a magnet, but you can't give away an emerald? I wouldn't know.
Yeah, and I think that's the question, like whether or not you guys care about if a spouse, like even when you go to like a spouse or two more people that are not spouses, you must hold a meet and greet, to the expenses
Right.
be like, can you have more than these are things that are in the College Park one. We left them, and that whether or not you guys think they're needed or not. That's really more of the thing for Bladensburg. I don't think you might need some of these things, because I don't think you get into that level. And I don't know how many giveaways are being given away, like calculators, flashlights, frisbees, and toys. I think that those might have been problems in College Park, but they may not be problems in Bladensburg.
Well, the other thing that I can point out to you is this is supposed to be the information that is provided to a candidate. That does not mean that you cannot have this separately for the Board of Election Supervisors as kind of because their supervisors set this policy and got it approved, okay, through their council, because these questions came up during various elections. So you don't have to put any of this into the candidate information anyway. Somebody will ask questions though at some point, and it might be good to have this as a reference point, but not necessarily in the candidate information.
Or it could even be like, I mean, Sue Ellen, like, couldn't it be helpful just to have it in a broad, questions about meet and greets, if you have a question, you can contact, we don't have to be as
Right.
detailed. We can, if you have a question about giveaways, just make sure that the item is of nominal value, that it doesn't have, like, those
Right.
are, that it's not an inducement. Like, I think that you go very basic, and you don't have to say, you don't have to put in all of this. Like, I mean, I don't find the item that says items that have no use or value independent of the political campaign, such as buttons, bumper stickers, posters, brochures, door knockers. That probably is a good thing. Things of value, you may want to consider, because you can't give away a $50 steak dinner with Chris to people for
Right.
voting for you. That's the issue, right?
One of the yes, and one of the questions that comes up the most or is brought up is that sitting council members should, and a sitting mayor should not be using their town card, okay, to hand out at campaign events. That is something that came up pretty frequently. They can hand out their promotional materials for them being a candidate, but they should not be using their town issued card. That's the difference. If it's town issued, you shouldn't be using it, because that's something the town did, and it wasn't to assist in getting somebody elected again. Same with going in and trying to use other town equipment or assets.
So
Right.
Sue Ellen,
Yeah.
this is Pat Williams. When you said town card, you mean the business card that has their name
Yes.
on? Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to be clear.
Right. Like, if I have access to town hall because I'm on, I work at the town, I shouldn't automatically get to use town hall to hold my reception. So those parts I really did understand. I just thought that it went really, really deep into the giveaways, and that kind of got lengthy.
And you don't have to. You certainly don't have to do that. Like I said, this was the most comprehensive and into the weeds manual that I could think of. So it kind of laid everything out there for you to look at and decide whether you wanted to go that far into it or not. That's all.
And I think what we can do is, if that's the direction of the board, we can edit it down to make it, as simple as possible. And then you guys can then see those red lines, and you can see what it looks like with or without the red lines. Does that make sense from where it is, to kind of keep it to the very most, because I don't think you have if the board says, hey, we don't care about if at a meet and greet that you're serving beer and wine that is not used for an inducement, those things we don't care about that's in here, if that makes sense. I can see in a college town that having a beer and wine served as an inducement could get an attendance, which is what, College Park is. So like, I can understand why that's in there. We don't have that issue. So those are different issues, and the spaghetti dinner that's for a certain thing, if, charging a certain amount. I mean, if that doesn't matter in Bladensburg, you just let us know. But if you're saying from looking at this is a lot, we can edit it down and make it just kind of go through those topics. It could be like a paragraph and have max and keep it simple if that's where the board wants to go with those.
Okay. And is it okay to move on to another bullet
Uh-huh.
in this
Yeah.
same? Okay. So on the last page of the document, at the top, it's a bullet 1. Incumbent candidates may not use meeting space at a town building free of charge. So also in a prior meeting we had, Sue Ellen, I don't think you were in that meeting. I think you were, another meeting or something, and you couldn't make it. But the other meeting we didn't have a quorum. But I had brought up the issue of, we also want to add here space at a town building or property owned by the town. Buildings, whatever.
As clarification, okay, I'm not exactly clear where that reference
It's
is.
actually page 21 of 20, it's page 21. If you look at it,
21?
I think it says incumbents, can they not use a space at a town building or a town owned building? But I think the interesting part, when you're talking about that, we're talking about Mango, and from the standpoint of, if they choose to rent something to someone, they are a separate rented space. I don't know, Sue Ellen, is that, I believe that's the issue. Is that what, specifically, Miss Lundy, is that the issue? Like, to say that, I don't have a problem with it, but I just want to know if that's the issue, like, that we're trying to get at there.
Yeah, the Bosworth, any of our town buildings, because, we don't want to have people to feel pressured not to do something because they know the person, or, you know what I'm saying? And we have to be careful that to make sure it's fair.
When it comes to the place that we rent to someone else, I think that I don't think I don't think we put something in the, did we put that in the lease? We didn't put that in the renewal. I don't think regarding.
No, you can't, I would insert the word at a town government building, okay?
Yeah.
If the town is leasing it to a restaurant, like for the Mango Cafe,
Yeah.
that's totally different. And if somebody wanted to have, for one thing, if he wanted to throw something, he would have to follow the rules about, if a candidate wanted to throw an event there, they could do that, but they would have to follow the rules about reporting and probably would be charged for food and drink, and have to report that. If
they self-funded, would they have to report it to us, right? They wouldn't, correct? In the case of the way the self-funding works, I just want to ask that question. So, because it wouldn't be on a campaign report if you self-funded. For example, if you didn't take any donations and you don't have a treasurer.
Well, you also can't give away. Remember, what's really important here is that you cannot violate some of the rules about trying to bribe somebody to vote for you.
Right. You can only that's the nominal value issue that, like,
right.
If you haven't, let's say you have a meet and greet at some place, the maximum cost for the meet and greet is X. And I guess that's what I need from you, Sue Ellen, is your advice on that, because like you're saying, like, you could get into a situation where it's looked as a value. So then leaving the stuff in here saying giveaways a value or something that's going to be evaluated, but then how does the person report it if they are self-funding it? I'm asking that question because with a treasurer, they'll have to report all the stuff. And then you're right, the Board of Election Supervisors will see it. But without that, will that information be, if it's a self-funded campaign, someone buys food and the food is discounted by whatever, then how do we regulate that?
you are regulating it already by saying that you cannot, other than providing food or drink of incidental value at a meet and greet, you're not allowed to provide anything of real substance, because then you're trying to convince voters based on what you're giving them, things that you're giving them. That's a violation, regardless of whether you're accepting donations or you're not. It's a different thing. So they would have to follow the rules about that. And you're asking, is there a form to make them report about that?
Right.
And I'll have to double check. I mean, there were a lot of forms that were involved with this.
Yeah.
And I'll double check.
Because I think
that
that's
rule
the
applies
issue
to them
that'll
whether
get
they-
at, that'll get at the usage issue that I think Ms. Lundy is talking about. Like, if you have an event at some place like that and you're utilizing, and that you're utilizing, because I'm looking, when I look at the per plate charge per person in excess of the cash value collected is considered cash, but that's when you're charging. If you're not charging, like, what's your maximum allowed per voter, which I guess we have to go back and look at the state law, which is what they have in here. So go back and look at the state law in regards to what the maximum amount is considered incidental, right?
Yes, whatever is considered in the circumstances just incidental.
Okay.
And we had, I remember having to go to the state one time about alcohol, and they said they didn't take a position on it.
Yeah, so
So-
thinking, I was like, I'm trying to figure out that issue, because to me, the Miss Lundy asked an interesting point, and it's like, I don't know if other than that, where do we catch that? Like, if someone gave, if someone gave away a certain amount of meal amount to something, unless we just check with the state and say, hey, what's the incidental amount? Like, what is the maximum amount incidentally? I know that some
they're not
states
gonna, I doubt they're gonna be able to tell you that.
tell you, right?
Let's put it this way. Generally speaking, people will avoid that problem by making coffee, tea, Cokes, soft drinks available for people. That's about it. Something fairly low cost. If they are renting a restaurant and paying the restaurant to provide those goods, and they're just, they're using the restaurant's facilities to do that.
If you have chicken and you have chicken and rice there, like as a meal, then would that be an inducement? I guess that's the question. Would the board
If what
consider
you're
that?
talking about is, a substantial meal, I think you're getting into something that's not just incidental. That's
Okay.
right. If you're having cookies, somebody's coming for tea and cookies or something like that, that's incidental. I know it's not easy to follow it all the time. I've found it to be difficult at times, and that's why they have so many guidelines in College Park, because it's come up. They had a lot more, they've had the law a lot longer than you about this kind of reporting and this kind of specific restriction.
So point of information. So back to Sue Ellen's point in that same bullet, and really appreciate the conversation that we're having. This is really good. But back to that bullet, incumbent candidates may not use meeting space at town building. Are we going to insert language, town or government-owned building? Are we inserting that?
I'm saying you can't control what other governments do particularly. I would say space at a town government building, because you have to recognize that you are renting a town-owned building to a restaurant that may want to be able to host various events if they get paid for it, just like any other customer, and you shouldn't really
It just has to be
that.
reported on it just has to be reported on the campaign finance report, is what you're saying?
It depends on the circumstances.
It would depend on, that's the issue. It would depend on the circumstances and usage. And if you use it just as an incidental cost, then no, it doesn't have to be. And if it's self-funded,
Correct.
you would not see it. And I think that's the interesting part. I mean, I think that's the issue that you'll see, is that,
Okay, got you. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have. Okay.
Okay, and I will go back and double check. I mean, I haven't put up the law that
Okay.
was adopted a number of years ago about this. So we'll double check that too.
And I think, because I'm looking at the stuff that's had the independent expenditure report that's still in yellow, and I don't know if that came out on yours.
It did.
And that's the issue that I think that if Sue Ellen, you could look at that, and then if we could also look at it does talk about I think that Ms. Watson added this stuff in regards to so for us, the total campaign contribution to any person, those amounts are also there as well in here. So if we can review that, so then I guess that's what we've got so far. What staff owes you as a due out now is then a campaign review. A campaign, there was a campaign funding. I put a note on it, but is that right? Is that the campaign funding
A review finance campaign policy. Finance campaign policy.
Okay. Process for campaign finance review. Okay.
Policy. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also have in here is the campaign signs and other political matter. I don't know what the town's process has been up to now. The state allows the town to take over regulation of state roads when it comes to posting of signage, if you do that in your code. Most places will allow a certain amount of signage in the rights of way. But it can't block the sight lines. And so this is College Park's policy based upon what they have
Yeah. I'll have Sean to
in their
review it.
code.
So we'll ask Sean to review and see what we're currently doing,
Okay.
because I know he
Okay.
does have some stuff, and he also has some stuff in regards to the day of the election that we probably need to put into events. So we'll copy this page and send it to Sean and have him take a look, and then we'll bring that back to you guys again.
And
Yeah.
also, I wanted to ask a question. So in the past, is anywhere in any of this talks about? I think we talked about it briefly, but I'm not sure that candidates are not allowed to use town property like tents and all that kind of stuff, because we have.
Correct.
I don't think that's right, because I have personally witnessed that happening, and I want going forward a new day. No town property can be used by any candidates, incumbent or new.
That would be the case.
Also,
That would be the case
hold on.
right now.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that would be the
Yeah.
case right now. If the town allows its equipment to be rented by anyone who wants to use it,
Oh,
Right.
then they could
it should
do
be
that.
in the
But
campaign. Right. It should
Yeah.
be in the campaign finance report too. Correct.
Well,
It doesn't
not
have
so
to
much.
be.
Not so much that. All I'm saying is,
Oh,
in terms of what town property can be used as for a campaign. If the town owns, I'm just using an example, if the town owns a tent that they rent out to people, then a candidate can rent it too for the same price. If they don't do that, then the fact that somebody's an elected official, they can't use that town equipment for their campaign because they're taking advantage of the fact that they have access because they're a town official. So no, you cannot do that.
Right. And if the town is
just
going to
depends.
if the town's providing tables and chairs for one person, they'd have to provide it to everyone. I think that's the
That's
issue
correct.
too.
That's correct.
right.
So I think that's always that. I mean, I don't think that was done when the last election I was here, but if that was done, then that's no. If the town has a resource, if it's not available to all, it's not available to one.
Right. That is
So-
that's the hard line.
So, so in making that statement, so that's what I'm saying. So that wasn't because as a former councilwoman, I know about these things. So, being here in Bladensburg, and so that wasn't really made known to candidates outside, even to incumbents like myself. And being a new councilwoman when I ran, I didn't know that either. So I like what you're saying now because it's a new day. We're moving forward. And I really appreciate that. And I think as this is shared, that I think people running for office would appreciate that the town is trying to be all inclusive and transparent in what we're doing. But getting back to what Sue Ellen said, you said if a candidate wants to rent a tent that the town owns or property, whatever it is, that's okay. How is that reported? Or you said it doesn't have to be reported. Is that considered an incidental? That's why it's not reported? Is she there?
I don't know. I'm not looking at my screen. Sue Ellen, did you
But you're
freeze?
asking
Sue Ellen?
why it should, it's not whether it should or should not be reported. It depends on the circumstances as to how it's being provided and received. But
So
you-
do
the-
we
the
need
bottom line-
guidelines on that?
the bottom line is, if as what Michelle said, if it's town equipment, a town asset, unless the town allows everyone to use it and to reserve it and to use it at cost or at no cost, whatever it happens to be, the same rules apply to a candidate.
So
And that's not really
we're
a matter
going
of
to,
reporting.
okay, got you. That's fine. I can receive that. So are we saying that, are we going to have some kind of introduction meeting with candidates, or how are we going to let candidates know this, that they can do this? How are we going to share this information with candidates? If they're
I
not
don't think we're
incumbents
gonna
who already,
I don't think we've made available, and I mean, I didn't know that we made available in the past tents because we don't have enough tents to provide from one to all. So that's something that the town's not going to provide. But do we have 10 tables? Can each person have a table? Probably, we could probably provide that election day, but we probably won't because we'll need to be able to manage our own resources. So I don't think it's an asset that I'm going to be offering that day, but what we could do is probably delineate that, and we can always put that in frequently asked questions. If someone says, I've asked for this, and then we communicate to all candidates, we have said no, that we are going to ask that this is an ask, and the town has said no. The town clerk could keep a list of requests from candidates, but I don't think we have to necessarily, and I think that that can be codified to say requests from candidates, and that she can keep a list, and then she can say her answers to all candidates, just like you would do in any process. Like if someone asks, may I use this? And then she sends it out to everybody saying, no, the town does not, or maybe it's a frequently asked question. No, the town does not provide tables or chairs or tents on the election day to any candidate. I mean, if that's the question, Ms. Lundy, we could actually just put that, because I don't think we have the capacity to do that in frequently asked questions. We could put that in the frequently asked questions, like, does the town offer that? Because what Sue Ellen was answering your question was like, if someone wanted to rent, let's say, a town facility that's that for anybody that they could do, we could do that. Like if that's a bit like the gazebo, if we rented the gazebo, for example, and somebody wanted to rent it and we had it always open for people to rent, we could not deny people the rental of that gazebo. Correct, Sue Ellen? That's really where you were going more with this.
Right. If you offer it for rent to anybody or to town residents or whatever it happens to be, then anyone who fits that category can rent it for the same price. It has to be fairly done. In terms of things like this, I would just, the best policy is just not to do it.
Just not
Don't
do it,
rent out
right?
anything. Don't rent out tents. Don't rent out tables.
You already said
just,
you weren't photocopying, so it's kind of easy to just go with that. Like you already said,
Yeah.
we're not making photocopies for you. I agree, because a gazebo might be running different dates, but on the same day, everybody will want a table. And then how do you tell one group no, one group yes? The group that knows the
Right.
most people is going to get it. So it's easier just to say they got to bring their own.
Yeah, I think we could, for that particular one, we can add an FAQ. If the board's okay with that, we can add a frequently asked question that says, does the town offer chairs, tables, these things on election day for candidates? No, the town does not have enough materials to do that. We cannot offer those items. And that can just be
Or not-
and then could be asked and answered.
yes, not just on election day, period. because they may have an event, or they may want to rent some tables and chairs for their event. It may be outdoors. So that's what I'm trying to say. So I think how we word it for the frequently asked questions is very important, but I agree with everything that you said. So that's good.
So we'll take a
normally-
stab at it, and then you can make a change to it. It's like, does the town rent tables or chairs to candidates in any capacity? That's what your question is.
Michelle,
Correct.
do we rent tables and chairs ever?
We do not, but I think it's a clarification that probably, I don't think people ever probably rented them. I think what Ms. Lundy's kind of, and is kind of
Alluding
saying is
to.
that, what alluding to is that at one time, if certain candidates wanted to borrow tables and chairs from the town for an event, they would take them and use them, and the town would allow them to use them, and other candidates did not have access to that. That's where, I think that's.
Oh, yeah, or didn't know, right, or didn't
That
know
they
that they
could.
could do that. Yeah,
Right.
that they could, because, it's like a business, like we were talking about the restaurant. Same thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, got you. That's
So I
good.
think it's
I
if
agree with
if
that.
we put a statement like that if we put a statement from the board saying that's what we want to be able to say is that is, equipment from the town, just like the same thing as copies. We don't make your flyers for you. We can't, in some ways we can't make your flyers.
That's right. You cannot.
So we can look up some
Okay.
generalized language, but we can say specifically, the town does not, do these things. So I think that's how we can make it very clear.
Right. Okay, that's good. Perfect. Good meeting.
All
I
right.
think we got a lot accomplished.
So
Any
I don't know
more-
if you want to schedule our next meeting for in 2 weeks from now, possible for the 17th.
Well, it's still some agenda items. Notes
Yeah,
from
so a
June
couple more
5th.
agenda items on there, don't we? We have one more.
Yeah.
Is that, what's the other one that's on there?
Notes from June 5th, 2024 meeting.
Oh, those were just the notes that we had, just for your information. We record these, but I also wanted to provide you the notes from that last meeting, just so you had them. There wasn't anything discussed there. It was just more, I'm trying to
Okay.
attach any notes that we have from the meetings. And this one, we could probably send some notes because I do have the note taker in here. So I tried to just send you guys those notes so you have them.
Oh, thank you. All right. And next topics or something.
Yeah, next topics or next dates. That's what Miss
Sorry.
Watson was
Miss
asking.
Watson. Yeah.
Yes.
With September 17th at this 3 p.m. work for everybody?
I have a hearing the next day. So I will probably be pretty busy getting ready for that. I have a police hearing in front of a hearing board.
Mm.
How about the 19th? Does that work in that same afternoon time? Sue
I
Ellen
can
and
do that.
everyone?
I can do
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that works. 3 o'clock for
I'm
me.
not available on the 19th.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Well, let's change.
Chair, is you're saying that though your police thing is all day on the 18th, correct, Sue Ellen?
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
it's a
Could
one
you
dayer.
repeat that? I can't hear you too.
No, we were the 18th. I was asking, but I think Sue Ellen's in her hearing all day the 18th.
Yes,
So then the next meeting would then be, how about the 24th? The 24th? Or
I can do that.
I'm open right now.
That's a
Okay.
good day for me.
So Tuesday the 24th, that afternoon, about 3 to 4.
All right.
And then
Yeah.
it also gives us some time. So what we will do is that we'll try to get these out to you beforehand so that you can take a look at everything. And that we can then, if there's some red lines that we've made, we can send the red lines that we've made to this. And then you can also take a look at, you can make, if you need to send anything, we can do those. The other issue that we probably want to take care of, is it possible to set up a meeting for October, for the next week, maybe October 1st or June or September 30th that week, because that puts us right before the next council meeting, which is the 7th. Because that's to try to make sure that if there's anything that we do on that meeting and then you have changes, we want to be able to look at it before. So is the 30th or October 1st okay?
Mm.
Okay, so we're
For me
meeting,
it
The
is.
30th sorry, this is Pat Williams. The 30th is not convenient for me.
Okay. Is October 1st or
First.
October 2nd okay? Any of those dates work, just as a backup meeting?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, work.
Yes, first is good.
October 1st
Yep,
works? Okay,
That works.
so we'll set up October 1st as well for 3 p.m. That way we can then do a final review, because then what we'll do is we'll bring you any changes from that other meeting, and then you can verify them, because then that can then allow us to get to the October 7th meeting of the council and bring them an item.
All right, sounds good.
Perfect. All right, this
Perfect.
was a good meeting. This
All
was a
right.
lot of effective
was.
conversation. I
We got
appreciate
through
it.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. It was so
you.
nice meeting everybody.
Nice.
Yes,
meeting you.
and welcome
Bye.
aboard, Miss Watson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take
Nice
care.
to see everybody. Okay. Bye-bye.